Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just suffered a humiliating defeat in the Knesset, Israel's parliament, that might signal the beginning of the end of his leadership in Israel. Or at least, that is what the political left is celebrating right now. As you know, social media censorship is growing. The best way to support our work is to subscribe to our video newsletters on pulseofisrael.com and to share our videos. If you are already a subscriber, then thank you. 2 additional ways you can connect with and support Israel. Well, 1, click on this link to help us strengthen Israel by strengthening Judea and Samaria. It's simple. Just click on the website and choose the best option that works for you. And 2, enjoy the beauty of Israel whenever you want. No matter where you are in the world, you can enjoy our online virtual tours of Israel. Just visit israelisbeautiful.com and choose the virtual video and activity package that works for you. So what happened in Israel's parliament and what does it really mean? First of all, just to remind you of the political situation in Israel and our parliament, in our parliamentary system there are 120 seats. In order for a party leader to form a government and become prime minister, a party leader must develop a coalition of other parties to total at least 61 parliamentary seats to have a majority government coalition, right? If you have less than 60 votes, you can't get anything passed. In this past election, Netanyahu and the Likud won 30 seats, by far the largest party in Israel's Knesset. With all the parties that are traditional allies with the Likud, there are 65 seats, more than enough to create a coalition government. Sounds great, right? However, one 6-seat party, which includes former Likud parliamentarians, has said no to joining a Netanyahu government. So Netanyahu really only has 59 seats, while the anti-Netanyahu coalition has 61, so he can't form a government. Yesterday, the Knesset held its first important vote to decide upon the setting up of Knesset committees, the actual backbone of parliamentary work that is used to help drive a political agenda of a government. Netanyahu and the Likud actually made a deal with the Arab Muslim Ram Party to vote together, but in the end, that Arab Muslim Party voted against Netanyahu, and Netanyahu lost the vote. So, the anti-Bibi political camp won the vote, and this is a huge defeat for Netanyahu and the Likud, which shows potential direction where we're going. This morning, Miki Zohar, a Likud ally of Netanyahu's, basically said that the Likud and the right-wing nationalistic parties are now sure they are going to the opposition and that Netanyahu will lead the opposition. Here's the thing, though. The only glue that holds the anti-Netanyahu coalition together, those 61 seats on the various parties, is their hatred for Netanyahu. It includes right-wing nationalistic parties that believe in applying sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, as well as left-wing Jewish and Arab parties that believe Israel must expel all the Jews from Judea and Samaria. And that's just one issue they disagree on. Some of those left-wing parties actually enthusiastically support the International Criminal Court putting Israeli political officials and IDF officers on trial. How in the world can such a right-left coalition function and protect Israel from the very dangerous geopolitical reality we live with daily? The simple answer, it can't. Those parties literally disagree on everything except on their desire to dethrone Netanyahu. Hence, even if they do manage to dethrone Netanyahu and create an alternate coalition, it won't last long since it will have no unified agenda to pursue. Now, don't get me wrong. I have been vocal with my critique on Netanyahu over the years, and he has not fulfilled many of the right-wing nationalistic principles that he represents. He did not reform the justice system. He did not apply sovereignty in Judea and Samaria while he could during a Trump administration. He did not make the necessary changes to stop the growing protection racket and violence by Arab Bedouin throughout the country. He did not succeed in returning the illegal migrants from Africa to their countries of origin, and much, much more. However, I also know that Netanyahu has had to deal with a bureaucratic nightmare that tried to stop all the right-wing nationalistic policies of his governments, relying on a radical left-wing justice system, left-wing media, and left-wing foreign-funded network of nonprofit organizations. In addition, they have pursued a legal witch hunt against Netanyahu and his family for close to 30 years to try to dethrone him. With all of that, Netanyahu has still successfully led Israel from the most dangerous years to its safest years in its history, at the same time as making Israel into a world power in so many ways, including on the economic technological front. And he overcame the most hostile U.S. administration ever to Israel, the Obama-Biden administration, not giving in to their diplomatic pressures with regards to giving up our historic lands in Judea and Samaria, and not giving in to the horrendous Iran nuclear deal. So he has accomplished a lot, just not everything we wanted because of the hurdles he had to overcome. So if this anti-Netanyahu coalition government is formed, it will include Israeli leftist parties that will willingly accept the dangerous dictates of the Biden-Harris administration regarding Judea and Samaria and Iran. Not only will it not have the political backbone to say no to the Biden-Harris administration, it might gladly say yes. Again, some of those parties are right-wing, so they are telling the Israeli public that they won't let that happen, and maybe they won't. However, there is only so much a few right-wing parties can stand up to the pressure of an American administration when the rest of the coalition government supports the anti-Israel agenda that the Biden administration would be pushing. So, doesn't sound too good. Again, nothing is final yet, and we don't know what government will be created. However, the anti-Netanyahu coalition is celebrating the Knesset vote yesterday, which is a symbolic and first huge defeat against Netanyahu. Ironically, the anti-Netanyahu coalition are saying that a joint right-left coalition is exactly what the country needs to heal the societal divide that Netanyahu created. However, Netanyahu didn't create the societal divide. The media and the left created that divide. Just recently, a poll in Israel found that most Israelis, right and left, actually believe that Netanyahu is the politician who is the biggest unifier of Israeli society. It is the media and the political left that constantly shame religious, shame settlers, and shame anyone who dares support Netanyahu or disagrees with their progressive agenda. Sound familiar, people in America? So, on a positive note, if they succeed in finally dethroning Netanyahu, I wholeheartedly believe that it will cause many Israelis to actually wake up and realize how good Netanyahu and a nationalistic government really were and are needed. And as a religious Jew, a firm believer in God, I know that everything is for the best, even if and when we don't understand and things look horrible. So regardless of who becomes prime minister, and regardless of what hardships we might endure under that government, Israel and the nation of Israel will still grow stronger from it. You just have to believe, people. Hold on to that belief. In the meantime, as I said before, it's not over yet. We still don't know what government we will have, but our future is up to us, regardless of how good or bad our elected officials are. Always remember that. Our future is up to us. God is looking to us on how we want our future to be. I'm a big believer. God helps those who help themselves. We cannot get depressed because of whatever government or political leaders we have. It is up to us to be the best people we can be, hold on to our values, teach those values to our children, work on making the world around us as best as possible, and surviving whoever our political leaders are and whatever governments we have. Always remember that.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.